Welcome to the Real Estate Bee with your guide and as a trusted real estate expert, Daniela Gnecchi.
Hello and welcome. You might have heard about the latest proposal of law by the Spanish government that aims to increase the property purchase tax for foreigners up to 100% of the value of the property. Yes, 100%. So let's talk about it. I am Daniela Gnecchi and this is my channel, Everything You Need to Know to Purchase a Property in Spain as a Foreigner. Remember, I can help you buy any new development property along the coast of Spain, and I can help you as personal shopper, as consultant for any second-hand property and help you with all the steps of the purchase process. Now, there is this new proposal by Pedro Sanchez that wants to increase the property purchase tax up to 100% of the value of the property for foreigners. Stay until the end of this video because I will tell you what this proposal includes, who it would be applicable to, why, in theory, Sanchez wants to introduce it for, and what are the opinions of the experts and what may happen, how this may affect you. Stay until the end and let's start. This proposal says that foreigners who purchase a property in Spain would have to pay a property tax of up to 100%, meaning that if you buy a property for 300,000 euros, you would have to pay a tax of 300,000 euros on top of it. Absurd. Who would have to pay this tax? Non-European foreigners. Only non-European foreigners. This means, unfortunately, because of Brexit, UK residents and anyone else who is not part of the European Union. According to Sanchez, the purpose of this measure is to address the problem of the scarcity of supply of properties in Spain and of the increase in prices. By taxing foreigners so much, Sanchez says that Spaniards would have an advantage because they would be able to access the property market and prices will go down. Now, again, I looked at numbers and the reality tells a completely different story. So let's look at numbers, shall we? The number of purchases by non-EU buyers in 2024 was 27,000 of 600,000 transactions in total. Percentage gives us a 4.5% of the total. If we look at this 27,000 on the whole number of properties in the country, which is around 26 million, the percentage we get is 0.1%. Neither of these two percentages could possibly have any effect on the price increase and on the supply of properties that is needed in Spain. What would be the consequences of such a measure? Well, first of all, a hit to the real estate market, the international real estate market in Spain, that is one of the two backbones of Spanish economy, real estate and tourism. So a measure like that would definitely not help. In 2024, Spain was the country that grew the most among all the European countries in terms of GDP. And also it registered a very strong increase in employment, which means, of course, more jobs, more income, and more possibilities for families to afford properties, whether to buy or to rent. Now, introducing such a measure would definitely hit not only the real estate market, but also the tourism, because in the same plan, in the same proposal, he also wants to keep addressing tourist rentals, which are the two main sources of richness for Spain, which would translate, of course, in a loss of employment, loss of income, and even less possibilities for families to afford properties. But there is more. By targeting only non-European buyers, this law opens a very dangerous door of discrimination based on which nation the buyer comes from. And this would potentially lead to lawsuits and to the fact that Spain could be accused of not complying with international anti-discrimination laws and with the treaties that it has with other countries. Could this law be extended to EU buyers, to people who live within the European Union? No, absolutely not, never. Why? Because Europe has some very strong laws that protect the property rights and anti-discrimination laws. So extending this measure to European buyers would be absolutely impossible. It will only target non-European buyers, which is a clear case of discrimination. And the experts are also asking a very logical question. Would this measure even work? And the answer is, of course not. It wouldn't work because these few non-European buyers are not the root of the problem. Where does the problem of scarcity of properties and price increase come from? It comes from Sanchez himself. First, his housing law that meant to regulate and to help the rental market and actually completely destroyed the rental market. This law allows tenants to stop paying the rent and keep living in the property at the expense of the private landlords. So, of course, at least half of the people who were renting out properties long term either sold the property or stopped renting altogether or shifted to other forms of rental. This is logical. So, Sanchez has done absolutely nothing to address this problem. He only blames tourist rental, the golden visa, now the non-EU buyers for something that is entirely his responsibility. And it's not only the housing law. He increased taxes for locals, which means that Spaniards have less money to get to the end of the month, so they cannot afford buying a property. He never did anything to support more new developments, because when a developer asks for permission to build, he doesn't give these permissions. He increased the administration burdens for even small investors who want to buy and refurbish old properties that were empty or abandoned. Refurbishing something has become quite complicated, so a lot of people stopped doing that. And also, he didn't do anything about the huge park of empty properties, many of which are owned either by the government themselves or by the banks, and they could have been turned into social housing years ago. He never did anything about all this, which was his responsibility. No, easier to blame someone else. Also, if what Sanchez was saying was true, there would be scarcity of properties only in the areas where foreigners buy, which is mainly the big cities, Barcelona, Madrid, Valencia, and along the coast. Instead, there is a scarcity of property all over Spain, including in places where no foreigner would ever even dream of buying a property, which means that foreigners are not the cause of the problem. How likely is it that this law is approved? Well, it is already very controversial because the opposition to this law was immediate and very strong. Sanchez doesn't have a strong support in the parliament. On the contrary, remember, Sanchez didn't win the elections. He managed to keep his position as prime minister only because he made an alliance with the separatist parties, the Basque and especially the Catalans, which is, I would say, a bit hypocritical for the leader of the Socialist Party. But these same parties is rumored that they are already against this law because they perfectly know that it would alienate the foreign investments in their regions and they would lose money. And I tell you, Catalans don't like losing money. Other parties like the Partido Popular, the PP, are completely against this law because they say, logically, that it would be extremely damaging for Spain. It is unprecedented, and they support a free market. Sanchez is not in a position of being able to push through this law without having support from other parties. So this is going to be very complicated for him. But above all, the experts are worrying about one issue. Is this law legal? Because, as I was saying before, this law is highly discriminating and it violates anti-discrimination laws and property rights, which are part of the human rights that Europe strongly supports and that Spain has to adhere to. Europe strongly advocates freedom of circulation of goods, of people, and integration of different cultures. And from a property rights point of view, such a high tax would be considered absolutely exaggerated as a difference. There are already differences between the EU and the non-EU residents. For example, if for someone who rents out their properties and they have to pay their income tax on this rental in Spain, if the person is from the EU, they pay a fixed 19%. If they are from outside the EU, they pay 24%. But one thing is a 5% difference. One thing is 90% different in the purchase tax. This could not pass as something that is not discriminating. And also, logically, such a measure would, in the long term, impact the real estate market because the international market has a very strong value in Spain, and if these international markets decreases, then the whole value of the properties will decrease, including the properties of the Spaniards, who would, in the end, lose money themselves. Do I believe that this law is going to be approved? No, I don't. Definitely not in these terms. What I think is that they will start arguing forever about this law. If it goes into parliament, it will be discussed for a very long time. Look, it took them 1 year to terminate the golden visa, which was a very simple program, very scarcely used because very, very few people applied for the golden visa in the 10 years in which was available. It took them 1 year to eliminate that didn't have any impact on the Spanish economy, on the real estate market, on the image of Spain, and definitely on any possible discrimination and European or international law, imagine how long it would take them to process something like this. What I think is that actually this may be the end, hopefully, of Sanchez. Why is he doing this? For two reasons. One is to buy votes. Votes of people who don't work, of people who want to live in your flat without paying the rent, and you have to support them for life. These are the people who vote for Sanchez. And two, he wants to throw a bomb to divert attention from what? From the fact that he is now under investigation for corruption. His government, several people in his government are under investigation. His family is under investigation. His wife, his brother, they are under investigation for corruption, crimes against treasury, social security, and fraud. This is the situation. So I think that it may take them so long to work around this law that by the end they try to decide something, Sanchez will be gone. The word that we hear more often in this world, what is it? Inclusion, inclusion, diversity. This law is the least inclusive law I have ever heard. It is highly controversial, and this would really represent a problem. Additionally, remember that Mallorca, some time ago, in 2024, they tried to limit the purchase of properties by foreigners because Mallorca is completely saturated. It's as an island, there's really no space, and it's really a problem for locals, people who have to be there to work to find the property. So they tried to limit the purchase by foreigners, which is something that if it's done at the regional level, is easier to implement, and they didn't do it. They could not do it. So imagine doing it on a national level. Anyway, I will keep you posted on how things go on. Now, the question is, what should you do if you are planning to buy a property? Buy it. Go on. The sooner, the better. I can help you with any purchase. I can help you with all the support that you need. Contact me, and don't wait to see what happens with this law, because it may take a long time, and also maybe they don't approve 100% tax, but they approve an increase in tax. So if you buy before then, you pay the usual tax that you pay now, which is the maximum 10%. So don't wait. I will post a 2025 market forecast soon. 2025 will be a great year to buy a property in Spain. 2024 was already, and 2025 is. So subscribe so you will be notified when this video comes out. Get in touch with me. Go on my website, 𝐿erealestateb.com. You can book a call with me, and we can discuss how you can successfully purchase a property in Spain. About this law, Sanchez insanity, and everything else, I will keep you updated with everything that's going on. So subscribe so you will be notified every time there is an update. If you like this video, if you found it interesting, please like it. It helps me a lot. It helps the channel reach more people like you who may be interested in this content. For today, I thank you very much for spending some time with me, and I will see you very soon. Thank you and take care.